We all know that today, Roman Reigns sits at the head of the table of his legendary wrestling family. The reigning Universal Champion may be on the road to his most dominant run ever in WWE, and that is truly saying something, especially when you consider both his WrestleMania record and his time spent in The Shield, one of the most celebrated factions in company history. But we'll get to those. Let's take a look back at how the man got to where he is today. I'm Rick Ucchino, and here are 5 interesting facts about the career of Roman Reigns. And we'll start with number 1, going back to his days before WWE, when he played with football royalty. Joseph Anuahi was a standout football player growing up. He and his real-life cousins, known as Jimmy and Jay Uso, were a dominant linebacking core for Escambia High School in Pensacola, Florida. Joe would wind up playing D1 ball in the ACC when he was recruited by Georgia Tech. He was voted All-Conference in 2006 when he racked up 40 tackles, many of those for loss or no gain, 2 turnovers, and 4.5 sacks. Now, Reigns would go undrafted in 2007, but it was a very different story for his teammate, Calvin Johnson. The man who would one day be known as Megatron was taken 2nd overall by Detroit and was a Hall of Fame level wide receiver for the Lions during his 9-year NFL career. After going undrafted, though, Reigns would sign with the Minnesota Vikings and play alongside another future Hall of Famer, running back Adrian Peterson. Reigns would have a brief spell with both the Vikings and the Jacksonville Jaguars before he wound up playing a year in the Canadian Football League. Number 2, he went straight to WWE and on paper had some pretty shocking losses. After his football career came to an end, Reigns decided to get into the family business, and he went straight into WWE developmental in 2010, working for Florida Championship Wrestling. Now, while he was learning his new craft, he racked up some losses that would be downright shocking if they were to happen today. The Big Dog's FCW record includes losses to Damian Sandow, Cesaro, Fandango, and former FCW heavyweight champion Adam Rose. It just goes to show it's not about where you start. Number 3, speaking of FCW, Reigns ended up being a tag team champ with a star you probably would never guess. Now, some of you may know this, but for the rest of you, go ahead, take a stab. I'll give you a shot if you can come up with the answer to this. I'll wait.
A few moments later.
Give up? Alright, well, while we are used to seeing Roman Reigns tag with the likes of Seth Rollins, Jon Moxley, The Undertaker, and most recently Jimmy Uso, he also had a stable of future stars in FCW as potential partners. Names like Big E Langston, Corey Graves, Bo Rotundo, Husky Harris, CJ Parker. Oh, right, you might know those last 3 as Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt, and Juice Robinson. But which one of those names would he wind up winning tag team gold with? None of them. Roman Reigns was FCW Tag Team Champions with a man known as Mike Dalton, better known today as Tyler Breeze. Number 4, CM Punk originally did not want Roman Reigns in The Shield. As I mentioned before, The Shield is one of the most celebrated factions in WWE history. They burst onto the scene in late 2012 and took the world by storm. The Hounds of Justice would come to the aid of then WWE Champion CM Punk whenever he needed them most. Later on, it was revealed that Punk's manager Paul Heyman was actually paying The Shield to back up his client, and eventually they went their own way. Original plans, though, were for them to be part of a major heel stable involving CM Punk, to be led by CM Punk. And originally, this heel stable involved The Big Show and Daniel Bryan. On Colt Cabana's podcast once, though, CM Punk said that he hated that idea and instead suggested to WWE Creative that they bring up 3 guys who were ready for the main roster. He suggested Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Chris Hero. Well, as Punk tells it, Vince McMahon and Triple H said yes to Rollins and Ambrose obviously, but wanted Reigns in the group instead. Punk ultimately agreed, and the rest is history. And lastly, number 5, the man is a first ballot Hall of Famer if he walked away today. Fast forward all these years later, and the former college football star and FCW Tag Team Champion would be headlining a Hall of Fame class all his own if he decided to retire today and the man is only 35 years old. Since splitting up from the Shield, Reigns has racked up 5 world titles, 3 WWE championships, and 2 Universal titles. He's also one of 4 men to win both of those belts, joining Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, and Bray Wyatt. He's a Grand Slam champion, winning all the gold there is, minus the 24/7 title, but does that really count? Reigns, meanwhile, isn't likely to compete in this year's Royal Rumble match, which means somebody else is going to be involved in the finish. That's a rarity, seeing as all 6 times that Reigns appeared in a Royal Rumble match, he finished in the top 3, including his victory in 2015. And how about that impressive run of main eventing 4 consecutive WrestleManias? At this point in his career, he is second only to Hulk Hogan, who has main evented 5 WrestleManias. And that is our list this time around. Hope you enjoyed. Give us the old thumbs up there. Also, make sure to subscribe to the SK Wrestling YouTube channel for more exclusive content like this, plus interviews and so much more.